Okay guys, here's some feedback for last week's work from April 27th to May 1st. So question 1A is asking you to isolate for S. So here we see that 4 is being multiplied by S. You just divide out the 4 from that side and the 4 from this side, and you're left with P over 4 is equal to S. For here, I believe you're asked to isolate for P, so we're going to take this positive I and send it over, change the integer to a subtraction, equals P. So that's how you solve that question. For 2C, D equals V over T. We're solving for V. This T is being divided by V, so we multiply it up to the other side to get A T is equal to V. So you're doing opposite operations. For this question, number 3C, it's asking you to sub in to find, I believe, how many inches. So all you're doing here is you're subbing in the centimeter value into your equation and solving. So if you divide 2.5 to isolate the I, you divide that side by 2.5 as well, and 75 divided by 2.5 is 30. So this is equal to 30 inches. Here you have to be careful because this unit is given in meters and the equation asks for centimeters. So you first have to convert that to centimeters and then sub it into your equation. So some of you may have missed that. Just make sure you pay attention to our units because the units are important when you are solving equations. So once we sub the 100 in, we isolate by dividing both sides by 2.5, and we get 40 inches here. So 100 centimeters or 1 meter is equal to 40 inches. Question number 6. So Kwok is a hotel manager. His responsibilities include renting rooms for conferences. The hotel charges $250 per day plus a $15 per person fee for the grand ballroom. So create a formula that relates cost. So it relates cost in dollars for renting the ballroom for N number of people. So we know that it's $15 per person plus a cost of $250 per day. So we're going to pay that fee no matter what. We're going to pay $15 per person, and that equals our total cost. So it says, how much should Kwok charge to rent the hall for 50 people? So we want to find out the cost for 50 people. So if our N is 50, we're just going to solve here using order of operations. I'm going to do it in one step for time purposes, but I'll walk you through it. So 15 times 50 is equal to 750, and then we add the $250. So we know that that total is going to be $1,000. So how much should he charge to rent the hall for 50 people? At least $1,000. And then you're gonna do the same thing for 100 people, except change that per person to 100. For part C, rearrange your formula to express N in terms of C. So part C, we want to take this cost of $15 per person plus $250, and we want to isolate that C, or the N, sorry. So we're gonna take the $250 and send it over. And that is going to be equal to 15N. Then to isolate N, we're going to divide both sides by 15. We get C minus 250 divided by 15 equals N. Part D says how many people could rent the wedding reception if wedding planners have a budget of $4,000. So if your total cost is $4,000, you're going to sub $4,000 in for C, and then solve how many people. So in order to do that, you take your 4,000, you subtract your 250 people, and then divide that by 15. So you could have a maximum of 250 people for a budget of 4,000. So you're going to do the same thing for the 2,000, except for here you would put 2,000 instead of 4,000. And then part E is your opinion, and part F we haven't really quite learned yet. So I didn't really take a look at that. But if you are wondering, this is a linear equation. So if we're looking at lesson 6 and question number 8. So this question says, at the season finale, hang on, I'm going to change it so I can see it this way. So it says, at the season finale, you present the winner of Canadian Superstar with a recording and tour contract. The contract states that the winner will be paid $5,000 per month while on tour, plus a $2 per CD sold. Write an equation that relates the total earnings. So if we're relating total earnings in terms of the number of months on tour and the number of CDs sold. So for this question, you are going to have your total earnings is equal to the $2 per CD sold, so we'll call that disc. You can use any variable you want, plus the $5,000 per month. How much will the winner earn after the first month if 500 CDs are sold? So our total earnings, this is part B. We know that he sold 500 discs. And after the first month, so we know it's only been 1 month. And then we simply solve. So 2 times 500 is 1,000 plus 5,000, because 5,000 times 1 is just 5,000. So we know that he will make $6,000 in his first month. Question C says, suppose after the 3rd month on tour, the new recording artist earned a total of $74,000. How many CDs were sold? So we know that the total earnings is $74,000. We don't know how many discs were sold, but we do know that this person has been on tour for 3 months. So we get a 3 there. So we just go ahead and start solving. So 5,000 times 3 is 15,000. Then here we're going to rearrange and send that $15,000 to the other side and subtract it. That is equal to 2D. So here you're going to take 74,000, subtract 15,000. That gives you 59,000. And isolating for our number of discs sold, $29,500 CDs were sold in those first 3 months. Part D says, in Canada, a record album or CD achieves gold status once it sells 5,000 units. How much will the artist make if the CD goes gold after 6 months of touring? So if we're using this equation back up here, it says he achieves gold status, or a recording artist achieves gold status once it sells 50,000 units. So that means this would be 50,000 units. How much will the artist make if the CD goes gold in 6 months? So if we substitute 50,000 in for that D, so we would have 2 times 50,000 plus 5,000 times 6 would be 30,000. He would make $130,000 in 6 months. I am doing the wrong job, but I'm not a singer. So if you have any questions, guys, just send me a message. I know that's quick, but I don't like to take up a lot of your time on the feedback videos. If it doesn't make sense, like I said, send me a message and keep plugging away at this week's work. See you guys.